Welcome back to Afternoon Live. Our next guests are two of the most recognizable men in town. One known as the father of professional sports in Oregon, and the other a Portland history maker known as well for coining the phrase Rip City. We welcome Trailblazers founder Harry Glickman and Blazers ambassador Bill Schonely. Thank you so much for joining us. Harry, you are the founder of sports in Oregon. It started off not with the Blazers. I need to take you through a little bit of our history with you in sports, because you went to Lincoln High School, was a basketball player there.
Right. And I started out as a journalism major at the University of Oregon. The job that they were holding for me at the Oregonian was filled that week by a returning war veteran. So I stepped into doing publicity accounts and eventually got into promoting preseason pro football games, got into boxing a little bit, then the Portland Buckaroos, which led to Schonely eventually, and then came the Trailblazers.
Founding the Blazers, what was that process like to be able to bring that team to Portland?
They had a commissioner, Maurice Podoloff. Anything west of Brooklyn was beyond his mentality. Then they got a new commissioner in Walter Kennedy, who went on a very aggressive expansion campaign. They took in Seattle and Phoenix, San Diego, cities which we had played with in old Pacific Coast League and everything. And so we fit just naturally. It was perfect. The only difficulty was finding the financing for it, but we managed to do that eventually.
Yeah, I could only imagine the salesman that you must have been to bring that around. But is this true that it's all because of Judy Garland that you stuck to sports?
Exactly. She made a sports promoter out of me.
Because of Judy Garland, the Blazers are here, right?
Right.
And it was because you used to promote so many other entertainment industries.
Well, I'd had Liberace in Portland, and that was a huge success. Then we brought Judy on a tour of the Northwest, which was a total financial disaster. And I said, I better stick to something I know a little bit about, which is sports and not entertainment.
And you definitely succeeded in that. The Blazers began, and just 7 years later, we're winning the national championship.
Yeah, we were fortunate there. We won a coin flip, drafted Bill Walton. We had a great team in '77 and won the whole thing.
Bill, what has it been like to watch Harry bring the Blazers to fruition back in the day, and then even to what they are now?
Well, number one, without Harry Glickman, we wouldn't be sitting here today. He's just been a marvelous mentor for many, many people, including me. Winning the championship in the 7th year of a young franchise has never, ever happened before. But he had some good people around him. Stu Inman, we can go right on down the line, Bucky Buckwalter, who scouted for us. And it was because of this guy right here.
Well, I got very lucky on some of those. Sean is very well aware of this. He was not my first choice. I wanted to go to one of those
You had to tell that,
give
didn't you?
an opportunity to a young local broadcaster, two of whom turned me down. I knew about Bill's great eventually, Holy Blue Line from the old Sonic days.
Yeah.
And so I got in touch with him and asked him, and he said he had done some University of Washington games, which didn't exactly endear him to this duck.
Exactly.
But, he came down to Portland. We talked for, not a very long time. And I think I told him, no matter how we're playing, if we're playing good, you can make us not look bad. And if we're playing bad, you can't make us just report what you're looking at, which he did. And he eventually became the most recognizable guy in the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
He's done a great job.
So let's talk about Rip City for a second, because that's your phrase. Where did you come up with that term?
Well, in our first year, I was trying to come up with a phrase that would be synonymous not only with my broadcast, but with the team, and I couldn't figure it out. You do a basketball game, and it's swish, it's all those other things, but I wanted a kicker, something else. The Los Angeles Lakers came to Portland for the first time. Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Gail Goodrich, and all that crowd. Portland was down by about 25 or 26 points, but all of a sudden the game changed, and the next basket by Portland, and the crowd was really getting into it now, the next basket by Portland would tie the mighty Lakers.
I love your voice.
Jim Barnett.
Yeah.
former University of Oregon player, now a broadcaster for the world champion Golden State Warriors, who was on our first team. You never knew what Jim Barnett was going to do. In those days, I sat right at midcourt, and Barney stopped right in front of me, turned around, looked at me, gave me a wink, and then took the shot. Why? There's no reason for him to take that shot at the time he's standing at midcourt all by himself or on the sideline. Put it through the air, and as the ball was going through the basket, I came out with Rip City, all right. And the crowd was going crazy. The game was tied. The Lakers called for a timeout. I gave my commercial cue, sat back in my chair, and the guys to my left and the right, they said, Rip City. I said, yeah. They said, leave that in. So I had a phrase. It took a little while to catch on, and now look at it.
Yeah, it's who we are.
We were on our uniforms. They're not Portland anymore. It's Rip City.
Just Rip City.
Jim would agree with me, I'm sure. He mentioned a kid, Jim Barnett. If we picked an all delightful team, Jimmy would be on it.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Barry Clemens. We've had some really delightful players. Jim Barnett was one of them.
We really have had a lot of delightful players, but does someone stick out in your mind as maybe your all-time favorite?
I get that question almost every day, 5-10 times a day. Shines, who's your favorite player? Well, I go back to our first year, 1970, and I've had the pleasure of knowing all the players down through the years, but there's one that stands out because he was the first professional basketball player out of Princeton, New Jersey, and the first guy, Mr. Glickman, and our scouting staff said, this is the man we want, Jeff Petrie.
And he's my all-time favorite, too, because he's the first Blazer. Now, if you ask me who's second, I'd name 200 guys behind him.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That would take us too long. When you look back, what will be one of your fondest memories of, besides the championship? What are some of memories?
Well, my
you'll have?
fondest at the time, we're in year one. We sold only 1,000 season tickets our first game, and one of my real treasures is a picture of me and Tom McCall and Walter Kennedy, the commissioner. Our first crowd was 4,000. And we couldn't get one of the banks as a sponsor because their agency said they're not to buy. Playing the world champion New York Knicks on a Saturday night, drew a big crowd. In fact, it was our first sellout crowd. And we beat the mighty New York Knicks and beat them real handy. And the president of the bank walked in on Monday morning and he said, I don't care what that agency says, we're on the Blazer broadcast. And they were there for years.
Another one, speaking of that, first went to New York, took the Trailblazers in 1970 to Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Out on front, on the billboard.
Yeah, I remember
Portland versus New York.
we were trying to get our franchise, and it came down to me that Ned Irish, who was president of Madison Square Garden at the time, said, how am I going to put the name Portland at the marquee at the Garden? Well, I think he found a way.
Yeah, he did.
Little of Portland.
That was great.
Yeah. Harry, you've been awarded the 2019 John W. Bunn Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you
in the
very
Hall
much.
of Fame. You have that coming up to a big presentation this summer.
Yeah, Schonely preceded me there, too.
Good, good. Congrats. And turning 95 soon. Unbelievable looking back.
Right.
What was it like to have your family as part of the Blazers?
Well, my son grew up with the Blazers. He was a ball boy there. My daughter also. Yeah, they got very much involved because either they are or not, and they were.
Yeah.
And are to this day.
How many red sweaters do you have?
Oh, just a couple.
Just a couple. Not much Blazer paraphernalia in your closet?
Yeah, there's some. There's a couple of sweatshirts there.
You're not wearing your ring, Harry.
No, I don't have it. Doesn't fit anymore.
Oh, it's too big.
But I'd settle for another one.
Absolutely.
Tonight.
Yeah, but they better hurry up.
Yeah.
You know.
And speaking of which, what do you think of the team now?
It's a good team. There are no bad teams in the NBA anymore. There are a lot of good teams, no great ones like the old Knicks or the Lakers, at least that would be my perception.
Yeah.
But a lot of really good teams. and we are one of them.
You have to be very impressed that this town still just adores our Blazers.
Oh, yeah.
Blazers win! Blazers!
You don't get them immediately, but once you get a fan in Portland, he's with you usually forever.
I know I'm one of those forever fans, so thank you for that, too. Thank you. Happy early birthday.
Thank
95,
you.
that's a lot of candles to blow out.
I'm trying to catch up to him.
I know you are. You're not right around the corner. He's got what,
90.
8
He's
years
got
on you?
5 years on me.
5 years
Yeah.
on you. We'll have a lot of candles for you too. Thank you so much again for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Don't go. Wait, we will be right back.